Hi girls! So we're continuing activity 5.3 as part of English 3 Semester 2 Week 1. So primary source 4 here says poetry and music, setting a purpose for reading. So while we're doing this section, we're going to be underlining vivid imagery. We're going to be that's pretty terrible. We're going to be circling unknown words and phrases, as always, and we're going to refer to the chart in the working from the text section to guide our notes. So, To Usward by Gwendolyn B. Bennett. Let us be still as ginger jars are still upon a Chinese shelf, by entities of self, not still with lethargy or sloth, but quiet with the pushing of our growth, not self-contained with smug identity, but conscious of the strength and entity. If any have a song to sing that's different from the rest, oh, let them sing before the urgency of youth's behest. For some of us have songs to sing of jungle heat and fires, and some of us are solemn grown with pitiful desires. And there are those who feel the pull of seas beneath the skies, and some there be who want to croon of Negro lullabies. We claim no part with racial dearth, we want to sing the songs of birth. And so we stand like ginger jars bound round, with dust and age. Like ginger jars we are sealed by nature's heritage. But let us break the seal of years with pungent thrusts of song, for there is joy in long-dried tears for wedded passions of a throng. So, I'm going to go back. We're going to underline vivid imagery, circling unknown words and phrases. So I think it's kind of vivid where it says, as ginger jars are still upon a Chinese shelf, because that's something that kind of paints a picture in my head. And then it says here, lethargy and sloth. I don't know if you guys know what each of those words means. I know that you know that a sloth is an animal, but it also means something else. Be quiet with the pushing of our growth, not self-contained with smug identity. You might want to look up smug, but conscious of the strength and entity. If any have a song to sing that's different from the rest, oh, let them sing before the urgency of youth's behest. Jungle heat and fires, I think that's an example of imagery because it's something we could picture. Some of us are solemn grown with pitiful desires, the pull of seas beneath the skies, that's pretty vivid. Croon, you might not know the word croon, but that's also vivid imagery because you could kind of hear the word croon, how it is referring to like the songs and the way that they're sung. The racial dearth means lack. With dust and age, that kind of gives vivid imagery. Breaking the seals. I don't know if you guys know pungent or wedded. So that is how I would annotate that poem. So now it says, how does the poem reflect the voices of diverse groups of people in the Harlem Renaissance? So you're going to explain how that poem plays a role with like the voices of the Harlem Renaissance, the diverse populations that were involved. And you're going to use the previous two texts to like kind of guide you with who those populations were. The second one says, what themes in this poem reflect the philosophy of the new Negro? Why might this poem be a rallying cry for this group of people? So think about the philosophy that was mentioned in the New Negro and how this poem might contribute to that philosophy or play a role with it and how it could be like a rallying cry. Think about what a rally cry is in order to answer this question. The next one says, how does this poem reflect themes similar to those expressed in the Harlem Renaissance? So you're going to be looking for themes in this poem that are similar to those that were mentioned in the previous work that you read, which was the Harlem Renaissance. Now, here's another setting a purpose for reading section. This time it still wants us to be underlining vivid imagery, circling unknown words and phrases, and referring to that chart that we haven't really gotten to yet. So, lift every voice and sing. You guys probably know this song, but if not, you should definitely look it up. It's very popular. So we're going to be underlining words and phrases that give us an idea of imagery and circling unknown words and phrases. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to a place for which our Father sighed? We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way. Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, kept us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. So we're going to be looking for imagery in unknown words. So I think that ring with the harmonies of liberty, like the word ring kind of makes me think of it sounding out and being loud, so that kind of paints a picture for me. Let our rejoicing rise, high as the listening skies. Like, this kind of paints a picture for me too, like the skies are listening, that's kind of pretty. Resound, I don't know if you know the word resound. And then loud as a rolling sea is an example of imagery because it's painting a picture of like the loud sea rumbling. And then rising sun of our new day begun would be a good example as well. Then down here we have chastening rod. Chastening might be an unfamiliar word. And then we also have treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. That's a pretty vivid imagery. White gleam of our bright star is past. So this song is like full of different kinds of strong imagery. And I think that as far as words that we don't know, we have it all covered. You can feel free to add other pieces of this to your list of strong imagery used. I'm going to continue for now to the questions. So number 9 says, how does this poem reflect the beliefs and philosophy of the Harlem Renaissance? What textual evidence supports your answer? So think about the other texts that you read and consider how this poem contributes to the themes of the Harlem Renaissance mentioned in those texts. For number 10, what poetic techniques does the author use to add meaning and beauty to the poem? How does this engage the reader? So by poetic techniques, they're talking about like the different kinds of literary devices that they use, like similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, imagery, things of that nature. And there's several literary devices that are used. There's also rhyme and rhyme scheme, things like that, alliteration. So there are tons of different things to check for, and then answer about how this engages the reader. And then we have setting a purpose for reading once again. Underline words and phrases that indicate the author's feelings about the Harlem Renaissance. And circle unknown words and phrases, trying to determine what those words mean. And then once again, refer to the chart. So this is excerpt from On the Dark Tower. I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs with you, and then I'm going to have you do the rest without my guidance. So the first one says, it seems to me that a poem which effectively expresses the spirit of Harlem Renaissance poetry is From the Dark Tower by Count T. Cullen. It is a restrained, dignified, poignant work, influenced and formed by Keats and Shelley rather than by the moderns. So I think that the word poignant you may not be familiar with. Restrained in the terms of writing and poetry. And then here it says, incidentally, the Dark Tower was actually a place on 136th Street in Harlem, where a number of poets used to gather. Perhaps Cullen knew he was speaking for the others too when he wrote, we shall not always plant while others reap the golden increment of bursting fruit, not always countenance abject and mute, that lesser men should hold their brothers cheap. Not everlasting while others sleep shall we beguile their limbs with mellow flute, not always bend to some more subtle brute. We were not made eternally to weep. The night whose sable breast relieves the stark white stars is no less lovely being dark. And there are buds that cannot bloom at all in light, but crumble piteous and fall. So in the dark we hide the heart that bleeds and wait and tend to our agonizing feet. So I want you to finish reading this entire piece and finish annotating. And then when you're done with that, answer these questions. Number 11, according to Collier, the writer, what does the Dark Knight represent? How does the historical context support her interpretation? Use textual evidence to support your answer. So you want to make sure that you're considering the pieces that you've already read in order to figure out how the historical context supports her interpretation of that Dark Knight. And then you want to use historical context as well, textual evidence as well. For number 12, what structure does the author use to discuss her interpretation of the poem, and how does her choice affect the reader's understanding of the poem and its interpretation? So think about whether she wrote a story, if she wrote an article, if she wrote an essay, if she wrote a poem, like how did she structure her work? How did she put it all together? And how do those choices help your understanding and the interpretation? Now, here's a chart that you have to fill in with the different things that you've seen and read. So obviously for the documentary and the art sections, you're going to have to go onto Canvas and look at the things that I posted for you, and then fill in the rest of the chart based on those things. Then for this final part, it says select one aspect of the Harlem Renaissance, such as its history, its values and beliefs, its authors and works, or genres and styles. Then write an explanatory text that describes your understanding of that aspect. So use the information you have in both primary and secondary sources for reference. Develop your text by using the most significant and relevant facts and details from these references. So be sure to begin your paragraph with a well-stated topic sentence. Provide lead-ins to cite textual evidence using transition words and phrases to connect ideas and create a cohesive paragraph. And then end with a conclusion that follows logically from the points presented and refers to your topic. So this is just going to be a paragraph that covers all of these things. And that's all for this assignment. I will see you in 5.4. Thank you for watching and take care.